Big news coming in. USA's Supreme Court rejecting 2611 accused Tahawwur Rana's application. He was seeking a stay on his extradition to India, and the judge refusing to grant a stay on the extradition, which has been very clearly announced, approved by the USA administration. He will be extradited to India. He will have to face the book for the massacre in many ways he oversaw. He knew. He was here in Mumbai. He did the recce. He was known and has been accused of being in coordination with the Pakistan handlers who were then preparing to come into Mumbai. And we know what happened on 26/11, leading to the loss of life of over 150 innocent individuals, not just Indians, remember, different nationalities and ethnicities. Counsel for Tahawwur Rana renewing his emergency application, previously addressed to a different judge, and requesting now that the application should be placed before the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Now, what does the plea say? I will be tortured in India. Do not send me. Do not extradite me. His plea has said that being a Pakistani Muslim, I'll be tortured in India. Joining me now, senior advocate who's been a special prosecutor as well, Ujjwal Nikam, who's in fact dealt with the 2611 case. Mr. Nikam, thank you for joining us this morning. Tahawwur Rana saying, I am a Pakistani Muslim, they'll torture me, don't send me, but that application has been rejected. Tell us about the legal matter of it and what happens here on.
At the outset, I'm very happy to note that US final court has rejected the nasty allegation which has been leveled by Tahawwur Rana in US Supreme Court. Not only that, it's a great success for India because ultimately Tahawwur Rana had tried to create a rift between the two major communities in India. Let me tell you very frankly to you and to your viewers that even the trial of Ajmal Kasab which I had conducted in Mumbai court, Ajmal Kasab had never raised such type of nasty allegation in the open court. That we have conducted a trial of 26 November in open court, and even the Pakistan did not raise any voice saying that Kasab was not fairly tried or he was ill-treated, etc. But now Tahawwur Rana's this false allegation that Pakistan Muslim will be tortured was without any rational foundation, and ultimately the US Supreme Court judge has summarily rejected his prayer.
So what do you call this then? Do you think these are delaying tactics that the accused Tahawwur Rana is indulging in?
This is not the only delaying tactics, but I must say this is a crooked tactic led by Tahawwur Rana. That would show that he was serving in the Pakistan army as a doctor and physician to the Pakistani army officials. That shows that he's close nexus. Why he is scared of so much things? Because if he's clean, he should face the trial. And India is such a big democratic country wherein everyone will be fairly tried, giving due opportunity to everyone.
My final question here, Mr. Nikam, is because the whole Kasab case that you also handled, and it was such a high-profile case, tell me how much of Tahawwur Rana did find a mention in it, his involvement, the fact that he was in Mumbai, in many ways coordinating, supervising what Ajmal Kasab and his group was then designated to do.
See, let me tell you very clearly that Tahawwur Rana is involved in a larger criminal conspiracy.
Yes.
I may remind you, before the attack of 26 November, the right henchman of Tahawwur Rana, that is David Coleman, had visited Mumbai prior to the attack and after the attack. He took the photograph of the various places. And David has also visited Pune Army Headquarters also, and as well as the Delhi, some places. So this David Hickley had opened which was allowed by Tahawwur Rana. And Tahawwur Rana, though he was a doctor, he was running the fake business of immigration. And under that bannership, he was indulging in various nasty activities, severe activities concerning about Al-Qaeda and etc. So I think his catch and his extradition to India will expose many things.
Really appreciate you joining us and speaking to India Today. Ujjwal Nikam, he was a special public prosecutor. He was one of the reasons that Ajmal Kasab could be via legal process then sent to the gallows. Remember, India ensured that there will be a fair, proper trial even when it came to the terrorist Ajmal Kasab. And now India wants to bring to the book Tahawwur Rana as well. I want to bring in India Today's legal editor, Nalini Sharma, here for the latest on that. Nalini, while people talk a lot about Ajmal Kasab because he was the one who indulged in that massacre, but his role as Tahawwur Rana's role also is very significant as India considers it. Tell us about this legal tactics that he's using to avoid extradition to India.
Well, Pooja, it seems to be only a delay tactic at this point because Tahawwur Rana's pleas earlier at the lower court and also in the Court of Appeals has been rejected, so there's been no relief coming in for him. And now even the US Supreme Court has rejected to grant a stay on his extradition. What that essentially means is that the deck is now clear for Tahawwur Rana to be sent back to India because the US authorities had assured him that they will not hand him over to Indian agencies till the time the stay application is decided by the court. And now that a decision has come from the court on his stay application, it essentially means that he can be handed over to the Indian authorities. At the same time, his lawyers are trying every trick in the book. So they have asked for an appeal before the Chief Justice of the US Supreme Court directly. Now, as to whether or not that's going to play any role in the entire extradition process is something that remains to be seen. Whether the Supreme Court will even be willing to entertain such a plea. But for now, the Supreme Court's made it clear there will be no stay on his extradition. The US authorities are free to hand over Tahawwur Rana to the Indian agencies, and it can be expected that his extradition, the final process, will soon begin now after this US Supreme Court order.
So, Nalini, then what are we expecting? Because this came after a full-on announcement, declaration by Donald Trump himself when Prime Minister Modi was in the USA. Are we looking at possibly weeks, if not months, till he could be extradited to the country?
Well, Pooja, there are not many options available to him now the fact that the US Supreme Court has rejected granting a stay. But there is another habeas corpus petition that he had filed pending in the US Supreme Court that specifically talks about the fact that he has apprehensions that he might be tortured or even killed if he is sent back to India. And there is no decision on that habeas corpus petition yet. But to hear that habeas corpus petition, he had to first ask for a stay on his extradition, which the Supreme Court itself has denied. So it seems like there is not too much merit in his plea that is pending before the US Supreme Court. But we can expect for the process to soon be put into motion because he was given time only till 28th of February to file an appeal and to ask for a stay, which he did do. And they were waiting for the Supreme Court order to come in on his stay application, which also now has come in as of 6th of March. So it remains to be seen exactly how early they can begin to start putting the wheels of justice into motion. But there is no doubt about the fact that India will now definitely be able to get Tahawwur Rana back. He has not seen any kind of relief coming in for him, either from the lower court or the Court of Appeal. And now even from the Supreme Court, it's a massive setback that has been given to him. He will have to come back to India. He will have to be tried for his crimes. And it remains to be seen how the trial then proceeds.
All right, keep tracking the latest on that. Nalini, just think of this. A doctor by profession, but ensuring that he was also associated with Lashkar-e-Taiba and associated organizations, visiting different parts of India, especially Mumbai, of course, where he stayed. This was in 2008, just days and weeks ahead of the 26/11 massacre. Initial planning included doing the recce, looking for Jewish areas, especially the Shabar house in different cities. Eventually, they chose Mumbai. He was in touch with the with the Pakistan handlers, so how they could come in and then kill innocent people, Indians, Israelis, Jewish, otherwise as well. And he's seen as a co-conspirator by the NIA charge sheet with David Coleman Headley. And eventually, remember, Headley had gone to the US meeting Rana in 2006, discussing the future action plan. This was a long thought process. He may not have killed people directly. He was fully involved in arranging that to happen. Think about that for a second. And India wants to extradite him, to bring him to book and show him that India will bring justice to the people who are no more. The ones, because of him, and his people who were killed.